defense in Sam Bankman-Fried's fraud trial resting its case. SBF facing more tough questioning from the prosecution over his claims that others were to blame for FTX's collapse. And joining us now is Helene Braun, CoinDesk U.S. markets reporter, who was in the courtroom. So first of all, just tell us what it was like in the courtroom. What did you make of his testimony? What was the reaction to his testimony?
Yeah, so Assistant U.S. Attorney Danielle Sassoon spent about 2 more hours on her cross-examination this morning. And, Sam Bankman-Fried continued to be caught in lies today. For example, she asked him about his, quote, cozy relationship with the Bahamian government, including Prime Minister Philip Davis. At first, he said that he wouldn't say it was a cozy relationship, but that, they met multiple times. But Sassoon then brought up that the Prime Minister and his wife sat courtside at a basketball game at the FTX arena in Miami, and that those seats belonged to FTX. And Sam had previously said that he didn't know how they got tickets to the game. She also pulled up a video of Sam with former U.S. President Bill Clinton and former U.K. Prime Minister Tony Blair in the Bahamas, which Sam claimed were there for the FTX conference, which was partly true, but she pointed out the fact that they had dinner together, and she showed proof. She showed the court a video of them. And she also pointed out that FTX offered special deals for Bahamians and more. So that was certainly one line of questioning in the beginning of cross-examination that didn't go very well for Bankman-Fried. But the more interesting questions were those about Alameda's $8 billion hole in its balance sheet, and if that wasn't something that concerned Bankman-Fried after he found out about it, because allegedly he didn't know anything about it. So he told Sassoon that he learned about the hole in September or October in 2022, and that when he asked Caroline Ellison about it, she allegedly told him to stop asking questions. So that was a little odd, and Sassoon kind of made a joke out of it, saying, so your testimony is that your supervisees told you to stop asking questions. So very amusing today. And, like I said in the beginning, it's become clear that Sassoon is trying to show the jury that he's lying, which, is why she's asking him questions about topics that she has proof for and that she can contradict his answers with. And specifically with her line of questioning regarding the missing $8 billion, she repeatedly asked if he didn't think this was a big deal, if he didn't ask who was responsible for this, or if anyone was fired because of this. So I think she just wanted to make the point that this isn't something that you overlook, no matter how big your company is, and that, at any other company, this would be considered a disaster and probably, immediately investigated.
And Helene, a lot of the stuff that has come up in court is stuff that he has said previously publicly to journalists or in other forums, right? That now, is he saying wasn't the case, or he was misrepresented?
No, he's certainly saying, similar things to what he said in interviews before and, after the collapse of FTX. I was one of the people that, as the trial went on, said there's no harm in Sam testifying. But the more I see him on the stand, the more I think this was a horrible idea. He, of course, seemed very, very confident during the direct examination by his own lawyer, Mark Cohen. And that might have helped his case to some extent. But cross-examination really brought out the side of him that, we all knew existed, and that I think the prosecution really wanted the jury to see, and it's how much of a liar he is. We've come to learn the defense strategy a little bit more during his testimony, which is that he's putting the blame on everybody else. He didn't know about any of this. He didn't direct anybody to do anything. It was all everybody else's fault, specifically Caroline Ellison, his, former girlfriend and former CEO of Alameda Research. But it's simply not working. The fact that he doesn't remember anything about what his colleagues had said to him when they discovered the $8 billion hole. And, there's always other people involved. And, he never knows who made the final call for, certain decisions. So it's just such an obvious tactic that, liars follow. And this jury isn't stupid. They've heard very compelling testimonies from his inner circle and former friends who all said the exact same thing. So it's very much clear that, something's not adding up here in his testimony.
And so, Helene, so bottom line, I mean, you were in the courtroom listening. It doesn't sound like you think he helped himself much at all here, which, by the way, I mean, we talked to former federal prosecutors who were saying, you know, they would not have advised him to take the stand.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's been really bad. It's also been really interesting to see his attitude toward Danielle Sassoon, which, you know, I think he didn't expect her questioning to be this direct and for her to be this tough on him. He's been giving her very short answers like, yep, and not sure, which, you know, I'm sure his lawyers told him to do. However, it's very obvious that he's trying to avoid answering her questions and is trying everything in his power to make her job a lot harder. For example, he sort of repeats her question, but, you know, with a twist. Like, he adds things like, in this context or on that day, and then he answers that question. So sometimes it works, and other times Sassoon or the judge call him out for it and say, you know, that wasn't the question. But in general, it really doesn't look good for him. And, you know, not only did he lose sympathy points because of the way he's answering Danielle Sassoon and, you know, the sort of standoffish attitude that he's putting on, but he also seems more guilty than ever after his testimony because of, you know, his lack of answering the questions directly and, you know, putting the blame on others and, you know, getting caught in lies too with, you know, concrete evidence that's presented by the government. So none of what he said, you know, makes a lot of sense to me. And he just dug his hole deeper and deeper with everything he said on the stand.
Helene Braun, thanks so much. Appreciate it.